Once upon a time, in a small village nestled near a gentle stream, there lived a beggar known as Arer. Arer was a blind man, and for as long as anyone could remember, he had sat by the path leading to the village stream, holding out a bowl for coins. He was well known and well liked by the villagers, who generously gave him food and money. Despite his blindness, Arer always expressed his gratitude, but there was one thing no one knew: where Arer had come from, or whether he was even from their village. He was simply the beggar by the stream. One evening, as dusk settled over the village, a young girl named Somto was returning home from the stream. As she walked by the usual spot where Arer sat, she noticed him lying asleep by the corner of the bush, his money bowl beside him. Curiously, she peered into the bowl and saw the coins shimmering in the fading light. Greed began to stir within her, and quietly, she reached out, took the bowl, and began to sneak away. But just as she was about to leave, something extraordinary happened. Arer, who had been sleeping, suddenly vanished before her eyes, leaving Somto trembling with terror. Frozen with fear, she dropped the bowl and begged him to return, but there was no response. Confused and panicked, she ran home, her heart racing, as though a ghost were chasing her. That night, as Somto lay in bed, she couldn't shake the image of Arer vanishing. Her legs began to itch, and no matter how much she scratched, the itch worsened. She applied ointment, hoping to relieve the discomfort, but hours later she awoke to a horrifying sight. Her legs had transformed into the legs of a goat. She screamed in terror, waking her father, Mazi Chukuka, who rushed into her room to find her in agony. Mazi Chukuka was horrified to see his daughter's goat-like legs. "How did this happen?" he asked in disbelief. Somto, terrified of her father's anger, told him a different story. She claimed that Arer had begged her for money, and when she refused, he became enraged and cursed her before disappearing. Her father, though skeptical, decided to confront Arer the next morning. Mazi Chukuka went to the place where Arer usually sat, but when he arrived, there was no sign of the beggar. He waited for hours, but Arer never showed up. Disturbed by the situation, Mazi Chukuka returned home to find Somto in great pain. He took her to Uku, the village healer, but despite his efforts, Uku couldn't cure her. Desperate, Mazi Chukuka sought the help of other healers, but none could reverse the curse. The villagers, frightened and curious, began to gossip about the strange curse. Some believed that Arer, the beggar, was responsible. Somto's legs grew more painful, and she was confined to her bed. Mazi Chukuka, heartbroken for his daughter, decided to consult a seer, hoping for guidance. The seer told him that Arer was no ordinary beggar, but a spirit on a mission. The curse was a punishment for Somto's attempt to steal from him. The seer warned that if nothing was done soon, Somto's entire body would transform into that of a goat. She also revealed that Somto needed to complete Arer's mission in the village to gain his forgiveness and break the curse. Determined to save his daughter, Mazi Chukuka confronted Somto about the lie she had told him. Faced with her father's anger, Somto confessed the truth, that she had tried to steal from Arer. Her father was deeply disappointed, and Somto realized the gravity of her actions. She knew she had to right her wrong. Somto decided to return to the spot where it all began, hoping to understand the mission Arer had left behind. She sat by the path for hours, waiting for something to happen. Villagers passed by, some staring at her with pity and others gossiping about her goat legs. The experience was humiliating, but Somto persisted, knowing she had no other choice. On the second day, as she sat, two girls approached and mocked her, bleating like goats and laughing at her misfortune. Somto's heart broke, and she cried bitterly. But despite the ridicule, she returned the next day, determined to fulfill her mission. When heavy rain began to fall, Somto sought shelter in a small hut near the stream. Inside, she found an old woman who was sick and alone. Somto, moved by compassion, cared for the woman, preparing a meal and tidying up the hut. The old woman was deeply grateful, and when the rain stopped, Somto left feeling happy to have helped someone in need. The following day, while sitting at her usual spot, Somto saw a young boy heading toward the stream. He appeared distressed, and Somto couldn't help but ask him what was wrong. The boy tearfully explained that his stepmother treated him cruelly, blaming him for his father's death and making his life miserable. Somto's heart ached for the boy, and she promised to help him. Somto gave the boy food, and they spoke further. He revealed that his mother had abandoned him after his birth, and Somto decided she would try to find his mother. She knew the boy would be better off with his real mother than in the cruel hands of his stepmother. The boy gave Somto a bracelet that his mother had worn, hoping it would help her find her. That evening, Somto returned home and was surprised to find a powerful woman waiting there. Her father, Mazi Chukuka, had brought the woman to help lift the curse. When the woman saw the bracelet, she froze in shock. The woman explained that she was the boy's mother, a priestess who had been forced to abandon him due to her calling. Her family had hidden him under a spell to keep her from finding him. Somto had unknowingly found the child of the powerful priestess. The woman followed Somto to the boy's hut, where they found the stepmother mercilessly beating the boy. Enraged, the priestess transformed the wicked woman into a goat. Somto's legs immediately returned to normal, and the curse was lifted. Somto had unknowingly completed Arer's mission to reunite the boy with his mother and free him from the cruelty of his stepmother. Arer, it turned out, had been the spirit of the boy's father, watching over his son, hoping someone would help him. Somto, now free from the curse, felt immense joy in seeing the priestess embrace her long-lost son. She had not only saved the boy, but also learned a valuable lesson about honesty, kindness, and the consequences of her actions. From that day forward, Somto became a better person, never again stealing or lying. The moral of the story is clear. Our actions have consequences, and dishonesty can lead to unforeseen trouble. We must be responsible for our behavior and treat others with respect and kindness.